Truth Minister Paul Scott with the No Warning Shots Fired news. Today we're going to talk about the news reports that came out about the growing educational gap between black kids and white kids. Because we have to address this issue, because if we don't, our black children will begin to think that they're less intelligent than white kids, and they'll be like, well, why even try when I'm intellectually, why even try to compete when I'm intellectually inferior to white people to start with. We have to be very clear about the historical conditions that created this educational gap, because they're not telling you that part, how black people weren't allowed to read until the late 1800s, how it was punishable by death to teach black people how to read until the late 1800s. Also, it must be noted that when black people were actually even allowed to read, and even poor whites were given public education, the whole idea was not to make them smarter, but to serve as a greater contributor to the workforce. Because during that period, the United States had begun to move from an agricultural economy to an industrial economy, and they needed to give people just enough education to make them good workers in a new industrial economy. And I know what the right wing is saying. They're saying that black kids can't read because they're listening to too much hip hop. If they just turn Lil Wayne off for a few minutes, they'll be a lot smarter. That's partially true, but you can't divorce it from the historical context that produced some of the hip hop that Lil Wayne we're hearing today. Some good books that to read on the subject. W.E.B. Du Bois, Soul of Black Folks, excellent book that was written about over 100 years ago, but still relevant today. Also his book, Dark Water, excellent book dealing with the educational system. So we must inspire our young people to read, inspire them to do better in school, not just to get good grades, but to make them more knowledgeable. I remember when, because like we used to say back in the 80s, knowledge is power. We used to have T-shirts with warning, educated black man. And Dr. Du Bois said it very clearly. Our goal must be, and the goal of education must be, to create better men, in our case, to create better black men and black women. No warning shots fired. Truth Minister Paul Scott.